r/entitled parents entitled mother tries to steal my $3,000 sneakers. Hello Reddit, this is my first post on here so please go easy on me. This all happened last Christmas and I can't remember some of the dialogue, so I'll probably just paraphrase some parts. With that being said, let's go to the cast and get this started. Cast: me, EA my entitled aunt, Eb entitled brat/entitled cousin, NC nice cousin, No nice uncle, M mom, D dad, B brother. So let's get on with it. As I said, this was last Christmas and my family decided to have a large gathering with my mom's sister and her family, and we decided to host it at my parents' place. I'm 17 and my brother is 15. I have a part-time job which pays quite well, but until I have a full-time job I'm allowed to live here rent-free, as long as I pay for food and etc. I have the basement and my brother has the attic. In the basement I keep my sneaker collection which is worth about $30,000 and my gaming PC which I also use for schoolwork, which is also quite expensive. In the attic my brother has a high-end gaming PC as well as a server as well as really expensive musical equipment. For this reason we tell visitors not to come in without our permission. So they finally arrive, and it's hell from the start as my aunt forgot to bring the chicken and all of the food for that matter, so my mom has to quickly cook up the chicken and potatoes that were meant to be for another gathering we were going to a few days later. Then immediately my aunt half takes her coat of expecting that me or my brother would help her with it, but we just said hello to No, NC and Eb who was nice at the start. Our cousins were 15 and 12. EA and No both go to the kitchen with my dad and my mom, while me and B decided to go down to my room, because like me NC was a sneakerhead. We went down and talked about shoes and stuff for about an hour until my mom calls us upstairs for dinner. This is where things start to go wrong. In my family we always wait until everyone is sitting down and ready to eat. My aunt and her family have always honored this rule, so it surprised me when, while my parents were still running around putting food and drinks on the table, EA and Eb were both helping themselves to generous portions. Hey, don't help yourself to food before everyone is ready, I told them, while taking the serving fork with food from Eb and putting it back on the plate with all the chicken. EA snapped. Don't speak to your elder sinth at 2 northeast, me and Eb are hungry and want to eat. This brought my parents into the room who to EA and Eb surprise tipped their platefuls of food back. Halfway through the meal Eb mentions my sneaker collection to EA and immediately she starts interrogating me about them. How many do you have? Why do you need that many shoes? Those were some of the questions she asked me. After dinner we went into the living room to open presents. We each gave out gifts and stuff. Both of my cousins gave me $40 each. I gave NC a pair of Jordan mid ones which go for around $90 and I gave Eb Overwatch for his box which at the time was around $40. I heard Eb whisper something to EA. After we opened presents me, NC and Eb go down to the basement and talk about stuff. When Eb asks me if he can also have a pair of shoes, he caught me by surprise with this question, and as almost all sneakerheads would say I said no. He said okay, and soon after he came back with the why didn't you let Eb have a pair of your sneakers? She asked. Well, if he really wants some he can pick something from this shelf, but he'll have to pay for them. I pointed over to the shelf that I keep all my cheaper slightly beat up shoes. He walked over to the shelf closest to my bed and he took out the EU exclusive off_white Jordan 1s. The white ones. If you didn't know, I want these. He said holding them up. I had 2 pairs of these at the time. One to wear and the other to wrestle. I said this shelf, and even if you did want those you would have to pay the resale price for them. I said taking them out of his hands. He tried to take them, so I held them up high so he couldn't get them. Okay, then here my aunt handed my $10 notes. I looked at her as I thought that she was joking. This isn't enough, I said, still with Eb jumping around me. Well, Eb and NC gave you $80, so that means that I would be paying you $100, my aunt said with a smug look. That is still a tiny fraction of the resale value. They are worth $3,000, can't remember the actual resale price then, but that's roughly what it is now. Eb kicked me in the shin and EA grabbed them and ran for the door. I yelled at my brother to stop them. My parent confronted EA about the shoes, both knowing how expensive they are and how much I like them, and was kicked out. NC and Nu said sorry about them and handed me $100. Thanks so much. They left and drove home. I managed to buy another pair of Jordans with that. Luckily I haven't seen or spoken to EA or Eb, however me and Nu and NC are still quite close and see each other quite often. Also, if any of you want to steal my shoes, my address is 421 Empire Boulevard, Brooklyn. Redditor, if you post this on your id, keep the address in, I don't really care. Look up the address on Google Maps and you'll see why. Racist entitled mother tries to make her son sexually assault my girlfriend. Warning, kinda vulgar but words are censored. Hey everyone, I have been looking in this subreddit for a while. Just for some further context, I'm an 17-year-old black male. M equals entitled mother, EK equals entitled kid, UF equals unlucky father, GF equals my girlfriend, U equals unlucky employee. So let's begin. So I had just come back from my jiu-jitsu practice and I was really tired. Me and GF had decided to go to our favorite manga store to see if they had a new volume of manga we were looking for. Once we arrive we start looking for our manga. Enter M. She was quite snarky looking. She also appeared to be quite rich and she quickly shot me a dirty look. After her, Ek comes in and this dude is literally a TikTok-y boy. Uff comes in and he looks really tired. I ignore them and the Ek starts looking for some anime. This is a manga store. For those who don't know, manga is the comic version of the anime. The anime typically comes out after the manga and it's based off of the manga. The employee talks to M and here's how the conversation went. UE, can I help you with anything? M, yeah. Give my son some of his My Superhero School. I think that's what it's called, or whatever. UE, I think you mean My Hero Academia. I have a manga version of it. Here you go. M, whatever. Ek, are you okay with this? Ek, in really winny voice, no, I want the anime's version. UE, sorry, I'm afraid this is a manga store. We don't sell anime adaptations. M, shut up, you peasant. Give my son this comic book, or whatever you Japs call it, for free. UE, sorry, I can't do that. At this point, GF is fuming. She is of Japanese ethnicity. She hates it when people say Japs. She walks up to the M. GF, you better watch what you say to her. How dare you demand her for her money? What the F asterisk KS wrong with you? I'm sitting back with a confused Pikachu face because I have never seen GF be so hostile. M, shut the FCK up, you peasant BTCH. I will beat up your stupid A asterisk asterisk. M then slaps GF. Crime #1 and tries to rip her shirt off. Crime #2. At this point I intervene and get M off of GF. Out of nowhere, Ek hops onto my back. Crime #3, but I quickly put him in a choke. He lays there in shock, like I wasn't going to do something. I try to get out of there with GF, but I can't. When we get near the door, I get stopped by M. M speaks to GF in a really nice tone, as if she didn't just assault her. M, hey hun. Do you think you could date my son? He would treat you much better than that nigga. GF, excuse me, but what the FCK did you just say to me? M, you heard me. Date my son. I need somebody older than him to be more gentler than some random immature 14-year-old. GF. 1. Piss off. 2. What the hell do you mean by gentler? M, well of course he's going to FCKU when we get to my mansion. Crime #4, me, what? How could you say that? Ek, what's the matter, Nia? I will F asterisk CK your girl senseless. Me, dude, you look like you're 14. Get some help. GF is close to tears at this point. GF, what is wrong with you? I haven't even done with him before. Pointing at me. I haven't even done it, period. M, and that's another reason why this blackie doesn't treat you right. Me, false. I truly love GF, and we just aren't ready for that. Get away from us, you inbred parrots. I know, rare insult. Ek tried to grope GF, but I punch him before he gets close. Me and GF get out of there and go straight to the police station to report these people. Apparently the M got some jail time, but I don't know what happened to the Ek. Either way, that was crazy. M aunt steals from grandchildren after funeral. This one is sad. It's about my grandmother, the matriarch of the family, and the fallout from her death. My grandma was an amazing lady. She finished nursing school in the 60s, had 4 boys she raised after kicking her trashy husband to the curb and moving away, and made her mark as the sassy badass everyone just loved to be around. She loved peppers, golden earrings and bracelets, and showering her grandkids with only the very best. Another thing she loved almost as much as us was her amazing collection of dolls. Not creepy horror movie type, but the most beautiful. She collected porcelains, celebrity recreations, CPK, and annual holiday Barbies. Everywhere in her house were shelves upon shelves of these gorgeous, dreamlike dolls that looked so detailed down to the clothing stitches. Everyone that knew her knew those were her world outside of her family, and she wanted nothing more than to pass it all down. Now for important characters. I never liked my father. He regrets my existence despite spawning my older sister from previous posts here, but he is one of the boys. My grandmother had 3 sisters and a brother. See the kind accountant, L the softie, and our rim of the tail, the witch aunt. Back to the story. At the end of my junior year, she became very ill from cancer she kept hidden from us kids. She died after settling what she could despite being told to rest, further reminding us she couldn't be told what to do. When she passed, her funeral was like a local celebrity died. Giant wreaths, meals, a crowd of hospital staff and patients, neighbors, people from her long life, and anyone that could showed up for weeks before and after. Because my father drove his kids, readers just my sister, I didn't make the wake and burial, but my mother drove me to the repast. Imagine a big dinner party celebrating those who knew you and live. With all the commotion and this being a big hit to everyone, estates and so on went unmentioned. 3 weeks go by, and enters M's massive bad to her memory. My uncle, grandma's youngest, went to her room finally, to get things of hers settled, having let family in, and out of the house for weeks, but never having a reason, to look in the room. What he saw was insane. Her dolls, all but a few clean, less expensive looking, or fabric types, actually her favorites, were gone or damaged. Her Sunday best jewelry, silk nightgowns, and even photo albums were gone. Even her wall photos were gone. They cleaned her out. He was angry and crushed, so he called anyone who would answer asking where things were. This led to people calling each other to find out what happened and who they would be burning at the stake. When it got to the new matriarch C, she called her sisters. L was broken up about it, but M hung up on her mid-sentence. Red flags went flying up. C whips out her phone and asks one of her kids, adults, and X for this, who stupidly said, "Oh, we took all that stuff a few days ago." Apparently, while my uncle was sulked in his room over his mother's passing, M used her house visit with all of her ex and took hold over everything she could possibly get her hands on and wanted, all in the name of keeping her memory in the family. Her excuses then turned more to blaming us for not calling dibs, not sharing with her niece and nephew, and first come first serve as it got into people's being upset. Safe to say that the dozen plus other grandchildren, especially I who helped mend these dolls for years, were ready to go for her head. We had a few stalemates though. 1. There was no will to split the collection or anything else, as she had faith in all of us to be civil. 2. We only had one person's word, and hints from others. Nothing solid to hand to police. 3. The only people who knew where her new home were her kids, already scouting eBay prices, and my sister who had good graces with her and got her bit of the pool. Livid but unresolved, people settled on letting things that didn't truly want go. A few months later, Aunt C calls my mom while I'm in another but connected room. She tells her that when checking the bank account for my grandmother to close it out, she saw something awful. My great mother, another great woman, squirreled money and passed it in a shared account to her children, fourths and so on. It was agreed they would save them for their future kids and soon grandchildren for education. The money nesting where I lay until the paperwork C pulled up showed this shared account holder moving money from center to herself over the years. My grandma never touched it. It turns out, to add to the shamelessness, M had been padding her divorced income and bailing her kids out of jail and flunked college courses for years. The poo hit the fan. Folks called to her, yelling and shouting through tears, and asking why her own sister, the entire entitled herd, had to cut themselves off and we're since exiled. This was over 7 years ago. People don't even talk about and remember my grandmother in memory, using me as a human Rolodex for what dolls she had before they were taken. I have her fabric dolls, and I'm currently finding replacements for all her 1997 dolls she had for me. Also seeking out ball jointed dolls to replace the need for hundreds of porcelains. It's calm again, as in no yelling. Why is this important now? You may ask, and good question. We were told the payouts for out inherited money was age 22. This year was mine, so I got a check yesterday. $2.54. Some people are heartless. Edit. Thank you kind redditor for the silver.